Hey everyone, thank you for coming, or listening. This is Journey to the Story, and today we're talking about villains. Um, and we're talking about like how we write villains and just basically our thoughts on villains. Do you want to start it off?
Yeah. So Matthew Jones here, all that good stuff. Um Creator of Void Beast, the extraordinary Messiah, Souls of Chaos. So with me, what and I know we talk about villains, but I actually had this story that I was thinking about and in and I kind of wanted to talk about that. And it's with the villain thing. So to me, like lately, I feel like there's this there's this void in like what villains are. You know what I'm saying? And even for me, I'm not gonna act like I'm just the best ever at writing them and stuff. I'm actually getting better and I'm giving them more voices on their own. And I feel like a lot of villains, like a lot of stuff has been focused on the heroes. Even in like the big two, like Marvel and DC and stuff, there's been a lot of the heroes fighting each other, whether it's in the comics or whatever, or they got somebody that's bad but they not quite bad, or it's like man, I just want somebody that's like a villain, and I think um that's what made the boys and even Invincible stand out, right?
Right, yeah.
Because they had people that were like villains. These people were villains. They know what they're doing. They doing it, and it's not a thing where, well, maybe I don't know, or maybe I'm controlled by this person, or this. It's like no, they they're terrible people, and they're doing it on purpose. Even with Omni Man, and this is where I'm gonna get into the story part that I wanted to tell. Even with Omni Man on 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 Invincible, like he came and he was doing like just going by the show and not delving, trying not to delve too much in because people be crying about this and the spoilers and all that. Like the comic book been
Um,
out for like 10 plus years, right? So,
yeah, in the show been out for a while, so there's
so
no excuses.
but I'm talking about like trying not to go too far into like the comic book and the graphic
Oh,
novels and stuff. But even then, it's like it's been out for 10 plus
oh yeah,
years. So the thing about it's like Omni Man did what he did. He come from a race of people that do what they do. They murder, they kill, they reproduce, all that stuff. And thinking about and 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 he was like, yo, I'm doing this. This is what my people do. This is whatever. And he changes up, but there's others that come that aren't so willing to change up, right? And so we looking at it, and I made a post. I remember a few years back, I made a post talking about Omni Man. Like what is it to write? And this is complete. This is only coming from. I don't remember the exact words, but this was me coming from a creative standpoint, not anything about going along with it, not anything like I agree with him or anything, but just making a character who's who doesn't have the same values as humanity does. So Omni Man and the Viltrumites, they don't have the same values as humanity does. They don't believe in, hey, we should help these people. They busted up or they not living well. They should be good. We can help them, and all that other stuff, right? You can still hear me, right?
yeah, I can read.
Okay, because my phone be tripping sometimes, and it'll just kick me out if somebody like text me or something. So uh, I was just making sure. So he doesn't he has the values of strength. I'm here to conquer. We reproduce. Blah 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 blah. Blah. It doesn't matter if it's family members or whatever. If they weak, we knock them out. It is what it is. And I was thinking about like what how do I write a character, how do I get into the mind of a character like that so that I can create a character that has that that has that sort of mindset to him, right? Like somebody that has that and everything. This dude gets on my Facebook page and he just loses his mind. He's like, you know what? Omni Man is a terrible person. He was a horrible father, and he was this and that and that. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, what? Whoa, I'm just talking about you're an artist and a writer too. Like, I'm not talking about living like that person. I'm talking about just creating a character. No, what I said was we can't. Here, I remember it. I was like, what I was saying is that we can't hold that person as like, can we hold that person to our standards if they don't even grow up? Can we, like, how do you write a person that doesn't have the same standards as humans, and how are they evil if they don't even believe in the same things that we believe? Because to them it's not evil. To Omni-Man it's not evil. Like, what I'm doing, this is what I do. This ain't evil. Like, in writing a person that doesn't live up to those same standards as humanity. And the dude just lost his mind. He was talking about how Omni-Man was terrible and he was a horrible father and he was this and that. And then he just kept talking. And then he went off into like, well, it reminds me of my father, and I don't think you should be talking like that. And I was like, whoa, I didn't condone any of this. I wasn't saying I agree with him. I'm just like, you know what? It's like, oh wow. So what I'm rewinding back to where I was starting at was like, I feel like villains get watered down. They've been watered down recently to a point to where it's just like they there just to be like bad guys, and maybe not bad guys, but they're these like weak bad guys. Like, hey, I want to rob the bank. Let me bust you over your head. Hey, I got this bad idea, and I want to do whatever with it. And we don't get some of the villains that are like I'd say like Griffith from Berserk, like Omni-Man, because that was years ago when that was made, even with the boys, and Homelander and stuff. That was years ago, and they've changed up a lot with him. So I think that we and then they keep recycling the same ones like Joker and all them other people and stuff. And I don't see much of that recently in newer stuff. Like, I don't see that, and maybe I'm tripping, maybe I'm missing it. So I don't see much of that anymore.
I think you're right though. I do think they like water down villains these days. I don't know if they also trying to make villains like under the umbrella of the whole PC thing that be going on the internet, and like they try to restructure villains. But I do think like some of the most interesting villains I have seen that will come across, like at least in manga, is like characters like Griffith or like Duo, and I think his name Akira from like JoJo Adventures, and like them some crazy villains. Um, but like I do think American villains are being but I don't know why like American villains is being structured in a different way right now. It's just weird how they're being wrote and stuff. Almost, I have seen a lot of villains being wrote like I'm a bad guy, but I'm not really a bad guy. Write me with
Mm-hmm.
like they being written so people can have some sympathy for them and stuff like
Yeah,
that. It's just weird.
yeah. So and I've noticed that too. I know people say that some of it is because of like the times we in, right? So like back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, stuff like that, there was like more war, so it was a outright enemy that you're going at, that sort of thing. And then it changes over time, like all of that stuff. But I still think that there's this like you were saying, there's this thing where it's like I'm a villain, but I'm not really a villain, or I'm a villain, but it's just because it is, and this is why I'm bad. And the thing about it is that's not the case with a lot of people. like like I don't in in going into like going into what we do as far as writing villains and stuff. I understand that okay, somebody did something because they felt this way and it may have been a misunderstanding, right? But I also understand that in real life, whether it was a misunderstanding or somebody had a bad life or they got treated a certain way, there's still people that just do stuff and will mess you over. You know what I mean? Whether they got a valid reason from, it's still like, hey, it's me or you, or I'm going to hurt this person no matter what. And I don't care what's going to stop that. I don't care who's going to stop it. I don't care who tries to get in my way. I plan on doing this thing, whether it's robbing a bank, whether it's murdering people. I'm going to do this thing. And I think we play it down where it's like, oh man, let me feel for this person. No, you don't feel for some of these people. You don't feel for some of these people. These people need to go. I don't care the race, color, creed. They need to go. If you are willing to do extremes amount of things for your own gain, for whatever reason, not even just your own gain, uh, and to hurt people, and you make that decision, because these are decisions being made when we're talking about villains, right? Like these are decisions being made that you're doing these things, and if you're willing to continue doing these things, there is no we need to give them a sad story for why they became like this, and we need to understand why they're like this. No, this person needs to be dealt with. And that's why even when we talk about, you've probably seen it on my page, like we have the back and forth conversations about like Batman and the Joker and stuff like that. It's for me, it's like, yo, that person needs to go. Like he needs to die. The Joker needs to be dead. And if Batman ain't the one to do it, he need to get out the way and let somebody else do it. Because this person has made consistent decisions to hurt people over and over again. So even when I'm writing villains, I've been before it was going through stages where it was like, okay, I just got him here and they a bad guy or they're doing such and such. Now, what I'm doing is starting to flush them out a lot more to where I have a whole setup to where I'm getting to this main villain. And this person is doing these things for this reason, but this person doesn't care. Like they got the bad story. Um um they got the hard life. They got all that stuff, right? They got all this stuff going on. They've been betrayed. They feel left out. But you're deciding to do trifling stuff to a group of people. And this is your decision. And you keep going with this and you don't plan on stopping. So I got like, even with Void Beast, it's like we have the villains that you've seen so far with like Corvo, that's popping up now in chapter 5 and 6, and then like Rex. So now we're going to go into showing some of the other Void Beasts, and all of them aren't good. So we got Frenzy, Perry, and Leroy. They're two of them are crazy. One is like, I ain't really want to be a part of that. But we're showing that not all the Void Beasts are good. But then we're going to build on that, and we're going to end up with another group that are void beasts that don't have a connection to the void realm. So they're willing to do some wild stuff, and they feel hurt. It's like none of the other void beasts came to help us. So what's really going on? And kind of like they didn't come to see about us. They didn't come to help us. What's really going on with this connection? And if we are really family, they should have came to help us. And so they're doing their own thing to get that connection back. And so we got to deal with that. But the uh the main villain, she doesn't care what she does. And so I wanted to be clear that She doesn't care what she does to anybody, and she knows this is a conscious decision. This isn't a thing where I don't know, and just because of this, I was sad, and if you just let me in, I'll just no. She's going to do what she has to do to get to the people that she needs to get to. You know what I mean? She's going to do those things. So I want to make it to where that everything she's doing, she has a point to it, and it has to be a point that's blatantly against what TJ stands for, so that this is how they keep running into each other. That they both have their standpoints in their own belief systems, to where it's like if you don't do, if I, it's basically like a conversation. I'm going to do this to you, and I'm gonna put you and your people over here. And then TJ is like, well, no, you're not going to do this. I'm going to do this, and it's going to make you stop. But it's like, no, I'm not going to stop, because I'm going to put you over here, and that's going to stop you. It's like, well, if you put me over here or you do this, this is going to make me do this. So it's a whole conversation that I want them to have. And I want the villain to be a person that understands what she's doing, but she doesn't care. She doesn't care. There's like the idea of having two people when it comes to like driving, right? Like there's one person that'll cause you to run a red light. So there's a red light or a stop sign, big red light, big stop sign. We know it's there. So there's two type of people that are running, two types, and it might be a third or whatever, but there's two that we can really like focus in on. One is the type that sees the stop sign, that for whatever reason doesn't fully, or the red light, doesn't fully understand. Like, I don't understand. I don't know. I can't read, or whatever the case may be. I don't understand. So I don't understand the rules. So I just blow through it. Right? There's that person. Then the other person is, I don't care. Like, I know, but I don't care. And that's more of like, I heard somebody say that's more like what is it? Like the New York folks would be like, hey, I'm walking here. So the person's like, I'm driving. I'm going right through it. I don't care. And so y'all got to deal with that. That's for y'all to deal with.
Like,
so
whoever away is going to get piled over or run over.
Yeah. So that driver doesn't care. The other person that doesn't know, they care, but they just don't know. They don't know. And I feel like we're getting to more villains that are like that. You know what I'm saying? It almost seems like a lot of them are like they see the stop sign, they see all that stuff, but I didn't really know what it was going to do. Like, I didn't know. And I feel like that's a little meh. That I don't really like that style, because then we come up with that they can be, we can teach them and everything is fine, and it's like, no, there's people, like, you can see it on the street. Like, you'll probably see it. You go out today. If you go out and start driving, you'll see it today. You'll see people that they just don't care. It's not that they don't know, they just don't care. They're blow right through stop signs, especially up here in Milwaukee. I see it all the time. Blow through stop signs, red lights, everything. They know what they're doing. They already stopped, or they just drove right through it. They know what they're doing. And so it's like, we in stories, it just seems like, and people can say we're wrong, or they can say I'm wrong. Just say me. They can say I'm wrong. But I would like to see more of the other villains. So I'm open to people sending them to me, right? If there's some other current ones, like current stories in the past couple of years, just like that. But it's a thing where it's either they don't know, or there's some type of monster or something. And just having that human element, where it's a human that's just going out, and I'm doing this because I want to, and I don't care about what you got going on. You're not going to change where I'm coming from. I'm not going to be out here crying with you and talking about how it was bad, and we're going to be buddies and stuff. So that's what I kind of strive to write.
Do you think, like, when writing a villain, that the villain should have, like, their own, like, how heroes are written? They're I forgot the name, what they call it in writing, when hero path or whatever. Do you think that a villain's, like, from beginning to what they are now, to be written, or just show them at they most wickedness.
I think with a with some of the villains, like you kind of you grow into that when yeah, I think it should be that they do have some type of backstory, right? Because it helps us understand where they come from. Because there's a difference between like understanding and then making you feel something for them. Like and even if you make them feel something, I like it to where this person is just a outright like villain. And so I think they need to have their own motives in journeys and stuff too. That's why I like again, I go back to Berserk so much because that anime and even the manga just like it had a grip on me for years, and it still does, to where I understood what was going on. And the whole time, even watching Griffith come up, it was for me like watching it. I was like, oh man, they buddies, they this and that, and even reading it after knowing what goes on, it's like, oh man, they buddies. He was charismatic. He was cool. He was a tactician. Griffith was all these things,
Oh
but
yeah,
you watch him and you watch how you watch him grow. You watch him grow, and the whole time watching Griffith, it was always a thing where that man was like, he never lied to none of them. Now we didn't know the extent to which he was going to go, but the whole time Griffith was like, look, I want this. I'm going to have what I want. I'm going to have what I want. And I'm telling you, like when he was talking to Guts about how he admired Guts, he was like, you're willing to do what you want to get what you need, all this other stuff. And he's telling Guts, like, I'm going to have you. And why can't I have the stuff that I want in life? It's like, okay, I understand you're a mercenary, you're doing your thing. But then the steps, he keeps taking these steps to where he keeps going further and further and further and further. And you're watching it and you're like, yo, y'all should get away from this dude. Even before Zod is like, hey, this guy is going to be this and that. He's going to be this person that brings this and that to happen, right? You watch it and you see him going through all the steps that's going to cause him to do something wild. You're watching it the whole time. And so when you finally see it, you're like, oh my God, I didn't know he was going to do that. But having that journey, I think, helps build up who the character is. And that's something that, like I said, that's what I'm working towards with even like Void Beast and then some of my other stories, is letting that journey be there and showing the villain make these decisions, make the decisions that they're making, so that I can understand why they're doing what they're doing and make it to. And I want to make more memorable villains because I'm reading, because like also with like Kaiju 8 or Monster 8, there's the villains there. What is it? Monster 9 is the main villain, something like that, I believe. And
oh,
it's
what story is that?
that's it's called Kaiju 8, but it's gonna be called
Oh,
Monster 8. It's going the anime is being made for it.
oh, okay. I gotta look that up. I ain't never heard of it.
Yeah, so I'm reading that one and I'm up to date on it. So basically I'm just waiting for, I think the next one come out the 15th. And so uh like the monster is cool and it's in all, and it follows that formulaic shonen form, but it's a thing where I'm like, okay, but I know it's just a monster. He's doing some stuff. He taking bodies and everything, and I see him coming up, but it's not. It's not like I care, because I care about Griffith. Like I care about what he does. I care about what he does. I want to
You know,
see. Go ahead.
oh, you know what's the interesting thing about Griffin though? Uh, when I look at Griffith, he's like a villain that didn't really hide the fact that he's a villain, but he's so charismatic. You know, he got charisma enough to like people just liked him until he screwed them over. Like from beginning until end, like anyone like that's reading it or watching it, you can tell that he's a bad guy. But
Mm-hmm.
know how to get his way. And I find that's the most interesting thing I've ever seen in a villain. Because, like, not many people is able to pull that off in a story where they've been the villain the whole time. It's just that everyone around them was, like, okay with them until it is their back that the knife he got has been plunged in.
And
Um,
and
Go
and,
ahead.
and speaking on that, that's but like building on that, to me, that's kind of what life is, though. Like,
Yeah.
like, think about it. A lot of stuff that we see on social media and stuff and everything is like that. Like social media, I've always been in in school. It was always history, sociology for me. Like I'd love to just read it and watch it and stuff. And looking at human beings, Griffith is what I think why he touches me so much is because I feel like he's what real villains are. And even in life, it could be something like people will love. People got their sides on who they rock with. Like even now, you can go online and be like, hey, you guys did this to this person, but you didn't do it to that person. And it's because they felt like they liked this, and they'll come up with every excuse. It'll be, well, this, well, it wasn't this, well, it was that, well, it was this, well, this person didn't do it this way. What is it? But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's because you felt like these people were better, or you felt like you related to that person, or you liked that person, or you felt like it was okay to hurt that person or do whatever to that person. That's why you did it. Because it's like even with comedy, right? It's this thing where with comedy, uh, we don't in stories and everything, and even like stand-up comedians and stuff, they do stuff where they build up the comedy to a point where we laugh at certain people or we make it okay to laugh at certain people.
Uh,
So if the person is a mean jock or the jerk at work that messes over your scheduling and stuff like that, if they come out and if they fall down the stairs, it's funny. It's like, oh, it was funny because that's their karma for what they did. It's hilarious. But if it's just our hero and there was nothing and there was no build up to it, there was no reason for why they did. It's like, oh, I feel so sad for that person. They
mm,
they fell down the steps and they've just been having such a hard time. But but it's like this is what it is. People build up these people, and it's like, okay, we can laugh at this person. This person can be a bad guy if we don't like that person. But if you like the person, then oh no, it's something else. It's a reason why. There's explaining. There's all this other stuff that goes along with it. And I feel like with Griffith is like life. Everybody liked him. They were fine with him. It's like, he doing some stuff, but he be feeding us. We get money. We get recognition. We like him. Everything is all good. It's like, well, he killed all them people, but oh well, he had guts killed the kid, and I was also, but he giving his ass up to this king and stuff, but it's not really what he really want to do. He just doing it because he trying to get that power. But so it's
yeah,
all this. It's
people can constantly make excuses from like it like even during like the section that the manga is in right now, like people he got the ability where people will make excuses for him. Like,
mm-hmm.
he's traveling with a bunch of demons, but like, look at all this other stuff he's doing for us.
And everybody's like, yeah, he's great. Look at he got these apostles running around, these half horse people, and all this other stuff. These deep, like, but he's our savior. So it's no different. It's no different in real life. It can be a rapper, it can be a politician, it can be an entertainer, and you can come out and say, hey, this person did this, and this, and everybody will come up with everything for why they're like that. So I don't. So it is what it is. It's part of life. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what makes a good villain. And then uh that's kind of where I want to go with in Void Beast. It's like, yo, I want this to be. We got some other ones that we're gonna because I can't tell everything, but we got some other ones where we're working with, and I'm just improving with my storytelling for the villain because I'm saying I don't like these things, but I've done these things. And it bothers me when I go back and I read that I've done these things. So I'm like, okay, I need to improve my storytelling with my villains. And that's from help. That's from help from my editors and stuff, to where it's like they push me to go a little bit further, to think a little bit more about what we're doing and stuff. And then that's me sitting down and looking at these villains and looking at what I want to do. Because I would love to be able to have something like if I could get any, like there's, like we always talk about, there's Mira and Araki that I wish that I could get like some of what they do. If I could get some of what they do, then I'm good. Because with Dio and JoJo, like Dio was a villain that was like, no, I came up this way. I came up with a trifling father. I did whatever with my mother. He talked crazy about my and everything. He was horrible. I don't plan on living like this. I'm ended up with these people with some money. I'm changing everything. I'm changing. I got this mask. This is what happened. I'm changing everything. I don't care who I got to go through, family members, adopted family members. I'm changing everything about myself, and I'm going to make y'all remember who I am. And I'm doing it regardless of who going to get in my way. And and I always say between, I always think that like Dio was one of them forever villains. Like Griffith is whatever, but we don't know what happened. But Dio was a multi generation spanning here villain, to where he just caused issues for this family and these people in the world, so much so that he caused it to be reverted back to whatever. And it's like that was something that really stood out to me as well with him, was like, yo, I'm going to go and figure out whatever I got to do to change this situation, and I don't really care what y'all got going on. And again, when writing villains, that's the voice that I go for. That's the voice that I go for. I want the villain to know. Now I'll have people in between that are doing certain things, and it's like it might be because they were heard about something or whatever. But my main villain, I want that villain to be a person to where it's like, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing this because this bad thing happened to me, and I don't want this to happen again to me. Now, it can happen to whoever else, whatever, but I'm going to do what I got to do to not let it happen to me and mine. And y'all can kick rocks.
Be like they don't experience the effects of like what happens when you're this way, and they're like, no, this is what happens when you're weak. So I would never be that again.
Exactly.
I be like, I'm gonna be the boot instead of the ant.
Yep.
And it's crazy because like Duo from JoJo, he made an incredible legacy of being like a great villain. Like the thing about JoJo, like besides Duo, one of the other great villains that he wrote in that story, I think I think I know his name correct, but I think it's Kira.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot the name of his stand, but it's like the purple cat stand.
Yeah.
But this guy's he's basically built as a serial killer, and just like how we were talking about with Griffin, and it's even with Duo, because Duo got a personality where most people will generally like him until they figure out this guy has no problem screwing you over if he have to, which mostly will happen. But like Kira, he's like over here, like having lunch with like a female hand that he done like separated from the body and stuff, and
Yeah.
he's able to get people to like him, not knowing that he's just like heinous person. That I think that's like what the most of the good villains that we've been talking about is able to, like what you were saying earlier, they represent like society right now, or like in a whole. That they're good at like wearing a mask for people and like hiding who that really is until it's too late for you to realize. Um, I also want to go back to like explaining what you should not do with a villain, and like for that example, I like some people have said that Zemo is a good villain, and I do not think so. He goes back to like what we were saying in the beginning, where they make excuses for a villain to be liked
Mm-hmm.
or have sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm doing all this. I'm going after the Avengers because of what they did here when they was trying to save people. So this is why I'm doing this, and you should understand. I'm like, no, no, no. We don't need an excuse for why you're trying to rip apart the Avengers. Like, basically trying to give an excuse why it what you're doing is okay, or why you're trying to justify your deed.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's just weird how they do that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've been looking at too. Like I don't care what nobody talking about when it comes to this stuff like with Marvel, because some of the stuff it's like even with because with Zemo, like I understand why he did what he did, but then that part where he's sitting up there and T'Challa gets hold of him and he's just like, well, I was just gonna kill myself. I was like, man, get out of here with this mess. I'm like, and then T'Challa like, no, you're going to come in this. I'm like, this is so
Like, I'm not
stupid.
gonna be like you.
Like, oh God. And I think that gets, and I've talked about this, but that I'm not gonna be like you when it comes to villains and stuff and everything. It's like a lot of this is just played out. A lot of that is played out. Is dumb because the villain's motive and the hero's motive for why they do what they do is two different things. If, and I understand that's part of the hero trying to play mind games, but for the villain trying to play mind games, but the hero to fall for that, to always be like, oh, you're right. If I kill you, it make me the same as you. Like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. You trifling. You went out here. You brainwashed somebody, had them go kill my people, had them hurt a bunch of other people. And if I take you out, that does not make me the same as you because I'm not going to go hurt these other people like you did. I'm not going to go kill a bunch of people. I have no inkling or nothing in me that makes me want to go kill more people other than you for what you did. Like but that's for another story. But
Do
that's
you
for another
think?
podcast, I guess. But what
Do
I
you
would
think Killmonger is an exception to that rule? Because he's a villain, but at the same time, they somewhat kind of give him the same kind of Zemo treatment before. Like, well, he actually comes after Zemo when I'm thinking about, but like, this happened to me. I've been put in this position, and this is why I'm doing.
the reason why I understand it with Killmonger is because um how he got treated when T'Challa did it to him is because he was family. Like he was a family member that they didn't know about and they just kind of left him hanging. So I understand that. And the thing about it is like I like Killmonger. I like it.
Yeah,
But
he's
I
a good.
know like I don't have an issue. I even agree with I even agree with like to a certain extent what he was trying to do. But I understand that Killmonger is a villain. I've never said that I've never been like I don't understand. I understand that he a villain. That he was going to do what he was going to do, no matter who got in the way. It was never that I didn't understand that he was a villain. It's just that I agree with him for the most part. It's like, yo, you guys left us. You didn't do nothing. You didn't help us. You didn't You didn't come back. Y'all sitting over here living it up, acting like everything is all good, and you killed my people. You killed my father, who was trying to help my people over there. But it is, but this is what y'all doing. So it's like even now, like thinking about it, right? Thinking about what happened. They killed that like this rat. Okay, I'm gonna go off a little bit. So the daggone Wakandans came at his brother, and he killed his brother, which was Killmonger's pops, right? For helping for getting the the vibranium and helping those other people and everything. He killed those folks. But then his daughter goes off, gets the mama gets murdered, and then you make a little pact with folks that killed your people, that killed a lot of your people, killed your queen and everything, and you make a pact with these people, and nothing good is going to come happen from that. And is it because you beat the person down to where whatever? Well, I'm not going to get into that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I see what's going on, but that's another conversation, because I don't feel like breaking that down, right? So I don't feel like, but I'm like, I feel like the Wakandans just consistently did dumb stuff when it came to these villains and stuff, unless that person was a Wakandan or another black person. Like if it wasn't another black person, they found every way to not harm the people. But if it was another black person or something, they were going to harm, kill, and do what they had to do.
Yeah, this is definitely another like cast, because that's a whole segment right there. Because like, yeah, you know, when you talk about it, I just now thought about it. I'm like, yeah, like Zemo and I forgot how they call him. Call his name where it's more Estet or whatever in the movie, how they pronounce his name. But like the recent villain in the Black Panther movie, they figured out a way not to kill him, but but they like Killmonger, he's going down.
We killing this dude. We doing whatever, and we not gonna forcibly keep him alive or nothing. He done. He's like done. But going back to what you were talking about, like with Zemo and stuff, that's how I felt with like even with the stuff with Wanda, and it was blatant there. Like she did a bunch of trifling. She did a bunch of trifling stuff, and then it was just like and then I never forget that part where what's the name? Where Monica's like, I think she said something to the effect, "Are you gonna say sorry to him or whatever?" Or you could say, and she was like, "It wouldn't matter." And she just flies off like, I'm like, what?
Like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, y'all good, right? Y'all got this right. Okay,
I'm out. Like no sorries, no nothing, no. If I can help you, if there's anything I can do for you, nothing. Just leave me alone.
right.
I shouldn't have to go through this and gone. And I was like, what?
Did I totally everyone mind? Yeah. Did I enslave them for a whole lot of time to enrich myself? Yeah. Did I disrupt their life? Yeah. But was it really my fault?
I was going through something. I was going through something.
I didn't get what I want. So everything I'm doing is okay.
And so I'm like, how does this, like, what? Like, I don't want to see, and I understand that's more of a inner turmoil fighting yourself thing, but I don't want to see that where they just get up and they just go on about their way. Cause and then she just proceeded to do more trifling stuff. And like, it didn't make sense. Now it made sense because Caesar's going to do this with Vision, and then Vision got tore up, and then they had him by Paul, and it hurt her, so she went off, she made this town, and this shit slayed them people, but then it was the Darkhold that got her, and she just doing all these things, and it was just somebody else's issue. And it's like, okay, really? Like this is what we doing? And I feel like it also becomes a thing where some of the comic book logic where we believe it in comics, it doesn't translate well to live action. Like
Yeah.
when, especially for the villains, when it comes up with it was like, wait, what? Like it's like comic. You in the comics, we can say comic book logic, right? We can say that, but then we're looking at it moving, and we're watching it, and we're going back over. It's like, wait, this don't make no damn sense. This is dumb. Like what? And so that's how I felt with Wanda, because it was like I understood, House of M and everything and all other stuff, and you understand some of it, and it's like, okay, I see, I read it, okay, but then when I'm watching it, I'm like, this is dumb. This is dumb. You losing your mind. Oh, what it always been established that she was crazy. I know she crazy as cat shit. I understand that, but still, it's stupid. And then you just making yourself madder and madder, and you hurting other people because your vibrator got busted up. So then you make these fake kids, and then you mad at people about some fake kids, and it just it it
Oh
it,
yeah.
it, it,
And you got all this power and magic, and yeah, there's plenty of ways out of the situation that you got that's like not harmful to other people, but you like, nah, I want to help some people over
yeah.
in the process. Let me help some people over in the process to getting what I want. Like, yeah, there's other ways that I can get this done without like screwing people over, but nah, I want to do this way, but
And it's like, and people will say like, yo, some of the stuff that Marvel did with these villains and stuff like that, they established one thing, and then after a while it's just like it don't exist no more. Like, I'm supposed to just go along with this and explain away, and I don't. I hope, well, I'll say this, I hope to have fans that do the same thing for my work. I hope to have fans like that just will explain away everything and just make it make sense no matter what. I hope that I can get people like that, because like when people talk about it in Marvel a few years ago, it was a thing where they just explained everything away, because it's like, okay, even with this whole villain arc with Wanda, when we go back and the Doctor Strange part is like, hey, I want my kids, I want my kids, I want my kids. It's like, but didn't you create them? Why
yeah,
why didn't you just create them again? Like,
right,
like it didn't make sense. Like, you went off, got mad, got the Darkhold, you kicking it by yourself in this horrible looking place, all this other shit.
you
Strange come
create
see you.
all these multi-dimensional traveling creatures that can like exist in other dimensions in
But
multiverses, but you can't make another pair of imaginary kids.
you can't make another pair of imaginary kids. We seen you do it. Like, you couldn't do it again. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, and nobody said, and I could be wrong, but nobody said why she didn't just make them again. We watched you make them. We watched you do it. Now it's just you mad, and there's no explanation for why you couldn't make it. Because it wasn't like they came from the Darkhold, because you went out after the stuff with Vision, you went out into that field or whatever for the where stuff was gonna be built, and you was hurt, so you was mad, so you made them. Why didn't you just do that again? And I'm like, it's like when it comes to the villains, it's like you do this, but then we're not supposed to say nothing about it, or we're not supposed to look at it and be like, hey, that doesn't make sense. So I always say I hope that I can get fans the way Marvel has fans that'll just explain away what they did. And I'm just like, nah, man, no. And so so it is what it is. But I think I think for me with my creative process, and and again, I'm gonna mess up too. I'm gonna mess up when I write these people. People are gonna point it out. They're gonna tell me. I hear it too. I hear about the pacing, about what I do, this and that. What is this person doing? This, and I don't. I'm not mad at it. I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense. Maybe I should do this next time, or maybe I should make this happen next time. So I don't have no issues with nobody saying it. They can talk about whatever. They can say I didn't really like it. It was whatever. I ain't mad about that. But I hope
But
that I get fans like that. And then two, I am always looking to improve, and I hope that the villains that I make, I can give them a story that I see fit, that something that Gintaro Miura or Araki would be like, oh, that's amazing. Those are kind of like my goals and stuff. Like, mine aren't really American, like stories. Because I'm gonna be honest, like with the villains, like we were talking about, even with in American stories, going back again with House of what was it? Not House of X. Was it X of Swords or Ten of Swords or whatever? With the recent one not too long ago, where Hickman was writing, and they had the swords and all this other stuff that they had to get, and they were fighting in mess. But I was like that, like when it was going on, it was kind of like, eh. But then looking back at it, it was like that story was weak because it's like you had them getting these swords, which really didn't mean nothing in the end, and they doing all this goofy stuff. They run in, they doing whatever, folks get married, they doing all this other goofy stuff. To where it was like, okay, what this wasn't. There was nothing really life changing in that. It was like that was kind of weak. And you guys could have introduced and really put some stamps down on so many things, but you went off and just did a bunch of, whatever. And it was kind of like what they were talking about, that post I shared with the Naruto creator, talking about how his editor made him do the tournament arc with the Chunin exam. Mm-hmm. And I felt like with X-Men, with that would have been better if that X of Swords would have been more of what the tuning exam was, instead of having them go through all this, because we felt like it was like, okay, we're gonna get this tournament arc style with X-Men, but it was just it was a whole goofy clown show. And where the tuning exam was like, hey, yo, let's get to this. We introduce these characters and folks is fighting.
It's like it definitely really from the path it was eventually like started on.
And it ended up being something that people fell in love with, because we like seeing Kakashi and them go off and do whatever and all that stuff. That was cool. But then when that tuning exam popped up, it was like, oh my God, who are these people? And what's going on with this? And where's this person's from? Who these people are? And it
I think it was just about around that moment when I know for me, I was like about to stop watching it, but then the tuning came on. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm like, what's going on? Like, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, and so it is, and then even going forward with that, it established like who was going to be the villain, and it built up on who was going to be the more villainous characters, who was going to take that turn, stuff like that. And I felt like that's important. So all in all, for me, because I gotta get up out of here soon. I feel like that we do need villains that are stomp down what they about. This back and forth where it's like, oh, they a villain, but we don't know, or they just hurt, and then we just go off and we don't know if they really a villain. I think that's what we getting a lot of from like Marvel. We've been getting getting a little bit of that outside of, like, I'd say Kang, and then the dude in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a lot of, oh, well, I did this and maybe I got really mean, but I just so I like the villains that are like, no, I'm doing this and you gonna have to stop me. And that's just me. That's just me. That don't mean everybody else gotta like them. That don't mean that what I'm saying everybody else gotta understand it and go along with it. You don't. But that's where I'm coming from, and that's my creative style. It's like the villains, I'll have some of the people that'll switch up or they'll teeter or totter or whatever. But for the most part, I want villains that know what they're doing, and they'll learn more about themselves along the way, and they'll know if they're willing to keep going and if they're willing to keep making decisions to get them to where they are. Because some of them can be like, yo, I don't really want to keep doing that, and that's fine. But if that's all we're seeing, it's like, ugh, I need somebody that wants to be stomped down with what they decisions, and they gonna go through it, see it through. So yeah, that's what I got.
Like it's awesome though, wanting to be able to make a villains like how Griffin and them and the skills. I thank everyone that been listening, and you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify. as you are probably listening mainly on this. No, anything that you want to share before we end?
No, well, yeah. We are still having SableCon in October 28th here in Milwaukee. So if you in the area, come out, holla at us, see what's going on, support the show and everything. It'll be good. And so that's about it. And then we'll be getting up to my Kickstarter backers. I'll be getting everything. We're getting the last little pages colored for the shorts that we're going to send out to everybody. The Pride story. So we'll be getting that finished up, and then finishing up the pages on putting together the main story, the chapter 5. We're putting that together. So we'll be getting all of that together to get to people, and I hope you like it when you get it. That's all I got. I'm getting my stuff to my Kickstarter people.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you. Peace.